The Dallas Cowboys very well may have done it again with a big-time addition by Will McClay in the NFL draft. We'll break down what has me excited and what has been a rather unexciting and unfun offseason for the Dallas Cowboys. But at least football is finally here, and I am at least going to enjoy the ride, even if I have dreads about where the ride ends up landing at. But if you are excited for the Cowboys season to start, then show it by liking today's video. The Cowboys' track record of nailing offensive line picks, especially in round one, is pretty damn solid. And I think they did it again. And not just with Tyler Guyton. I think they've also pulled off something impressive with Cooper Beebe, the third-round pick out of Kansas State. Both players, the left tackle out of Oklahoma and Beebe, have had praise so far. I have been impressed with their film, and so have other people from both a national level, other offensive linemen or offensive line experts who do coverage, and local people, both film guys, media, etc. Everyone has been impressed so far with Guyton and the growth of Beebe over the last few weeks. Guyton was already going to start. The injury to Chuma Edoga erased any potential doubt, nightmare scenario in which he somehow played behind him, but he had looked great at training camp, and that has continued through the preseason. Although I had thought for a while that the Cowboys like Brock Hoffman, they're going to give him a chance to be the starter, I am ready to give the reins over to Cooper Beebe at the center position. I am not sure that would happen, or at least I was not sure, I should say, that was going to happen 2 weeks ago. Hoffman had looked pretty good. He had a lot of praise. Coaching staff liked him. And then Big Mike gave Beebe a chance, and he's kind of ran with it a little bit. But as of right now, I am all in on this. I think it's also worth mentioning practice today. A lot of reps with Beebe and Dak Prescott. Not so much between Dak Prescott and Brock Hoffman. I think that is a clear trend in terms of where that is going. We'll break down a lot more on these two, why I am excited about them. But do you think both Tyler Guyton and Cooper Beebe should start in week one? This will be the pinned comment on today's video, so if that ad plays here on YouTube, it's just fine. Take advantage of it. Type in Y for yes or N for no. It is democracy time here at the Cowboys Report. So far in the preseason, Tyler Guyton has played 56 snaps. He has allowed one hurry, and I think he's been really impressive as a run blocker as well. For a player that was transitioning from the right side to the left side, which is a valid concern to have in the pre-draft process, it didn't look like it. He looks pretty darn good out there in terms of how he's fared on the left side of the offensive line. Cooper Beebe, meanwhile, in 78 snaps, has also been really good. I think that there is a difference in how he is able to get to the second level and make an impact as a blocker compared to the way Brock Hoffman has been able to do it. I thought that second preseason game by Beebe, when he's out there dirt napping people, I thought was a really positive sign. Now look, PFF grades are by no means a end-all be-all, but it is, I think, a valuable data point to utilize. You can ignore it if you want, but it's at least worth mentioning. There were 8 different offensive linemen who were taken in round 1 at offensive tackle. There was also Graham Barton, who we'll get to here. Tyler Guyton has the best PFF grade out of all of them. And I think, part of the reason why Guyton was available was how good this offensive tackle class was. In a normal OT class, I don't think he gets out of the top 20. How about Joe Alt, J.C. Latham, Olufashanu, Taliese Fuaga, Amarius Mims, Troy Fatanu, Jordan Morgan. All those guys go before Guyton. Now, I don't think all of them should have, and in a redraft, maybe they don't even already right now. But I have been very impressed by Guyton. PFF thinks he's been the best offensive tackle in the preseason. It is the preseason, but the Raiders also played their starters for a pretty good portion of that second preseason matchup. Meanwhile, on the interior of the offensive line, both center and guards, Beebe's 10th, and ahead of everyone who was drafted ahead of him, except for Graham Barton. By the way, Graham Barton looks really good. Again, it was a great offensive line class overall, but Beebe's looked impactful. And if the conversation was, Graham Barton and Kingsley Suamataia compared to Cooper Beebe and Tyler Guyton, Kings actually look pretty good too, by the way, for the Chiefs. So maybe you couldn't have gone wrong, but you still got the answer right in the end. Today's show is made possible by Turtle Beach. If you were paying close attention, you've probably realized it is a different headset on today's show. Turtle Beach is the #1 brand in gaming headsets and accessories. The one that I am actually wearing is my own personal one that my wife bought me, because even though my wife does not play video games, does not really know much about what's going on when I'm playing, she does know that Turtle Beach makes the absolute best in gaming headset products. Whether you are a casual gamer or you have been addicted to, I don't know, maybe College Football 25 in recent weeks, Turtle Beach has the right headset for you. They don't just have amazing headsets, by the way. They have every gaming accessory you could ever want, and they're all high quality at prices that do not break the bank. From flight and racing simulators to controllers, keyboards, and mice, Turtle Beach is the ultimate gaming cheat code. So get the ultimate immersive gaming experience with Turtle Beach today. For a limited time only, head to turtlebeach.com/chat and use code CHAT for 10% off your entire order. That's 10% off your entire order at turtlebeach.com with promo code CHAT. So coming up next, I want to break down why these two guys fell to spots that weren't overly surprising, at least for Tyler Guyton. Let's begin with him, then we'll come back to Cooper Beebe, right? Guyton had flaws on his film. That was obvious. A lot of this involved projection for Tyler Guyton. The numbers weren't that bad. I thought Guyton was more raw than, I think Amarius Mims was just inexperienced. But Guyton had traits. In general, it's actually not that bad of a draft strategy to just draft the almost 6'8" guy who's 322 pounds and has 34-inch arms and is a freaky athlete and say, we'll coach the rest. Now, I'll make note, it wasn't exactly the Cowboys coaching the rest. We'll come back to that here more in depth in a minute. But in terms of where I had Guyton ranked, this is why I was a little bit more on board with this pick than I know some people were. I had him 30th overall on my board, a second-round grade. He was my 6th offensive tackle. He went one pick earlier than my grade, where I had him ranked. We're not talking about much of a big difference there. I just really wanted Graham Barton, which I think in the end there was maybe no wrong answer, which is probably a good thing overall for the offensive line for the Cowboys. I was actually higher on Tyler Guyton because I think I learned things from Tyler Smith and not being high enough on him coming out of Tulsa. That the mistakes that Tyler Smith had, some of them were similar to Tyler Guyton. And those mistakes are correctable. They're fixable. And I genuinely factor this into my pre-draft process. If you're working with Duke Manyweather, who is the secret actual offensive line coach of the Dallas Cowboys, he is the personal O-line trainer for every starter on the Cowboys offensive line, by the way. That's a positive. Now, Guyton actually didn't work with him to start, and then Cowboys draft him. They kind of pushed him to Duke, and all of a sudden, some of those technique flaws, some of those issues that Guyton had coming out of Oklahoma, they worked very hard, and Guyton gets credit for this too. Make no mistake about it. To kind of iron those out. The Cowboys' offensive line history of late in the first round has been, of course, Tyler Guyton, Tyler Smith, Zach Martin, Travis Frederick, and Tyron Smith. And those first three names, Frederick probably doesn't get in there because he didn't play long enough. Those are Hall of Fame offensive linemen. Tyler Smith is already an all-pro caliber offensive lineman. I think Tyler Guyton can be the next one. So do you think Dallas nailed another round one offensive line pick? One for yes, you do. You are fully bought in on the Guyton hype train. Two for no, you are not, for whatever reason you see fit. Over now to Cooper Beebe, and I was very high on Beebe coming out of Kansas State. I thought he was going to come out the year before, and I was like, this guy's going to be a top 50 pick, and that's where I had him graded anyway the next year. Allowed 2 sacks in 2023, 7 hurries, and he even tested better than I thought he was going to. I kind of thought Beebe would be like an average-ish athlete. He tested great. The only reason, I think the biggest reason why he fell was, our friendly neighborhood Blastoise has 31.5-inch arms. That's not exactly good. And that is a non-fact. You cannot play him at tackle with that arm length. That no team would do that. Several teams, I think, had him, he can't play guard. He's a center only, which he, of course, had not played center previously, which is a potential red flag. In the end, I had Beebe as my 41st ranked player in the 2024 NFL Draft. I had a second-round grade on him. He goes basically an entire round later at 73 overall, and in the third round. That was my favorite pick by the Cowboys because of the value I had. I'd have taken him in the second round and been happy with it. So I love what I've seen so far out of Beebe. Before we get to our final thoughts, I should say, do not miss Saturday's watch party. We'll see how much of Guyton and Beebe get playing time in this matchup, but it'll be the final one. We'll see if Dax Collin plays too, by the way. So if you haven't already, please hit that sub button and don't miss out. The reality is that there will be down moments with these two players, and I know this is very much a positive mindset video. I do want to acknowledge the reality of life in the NFL. Growth features wins and losses. Progression isn't even always linear. You might play great in week 7, have a bad week 8, then get back to average in week 9, and then continue your upward track. It's not about every single game going on the upwards arc. It's when you widen out your lens, look at the big picture, that part is on an upwards arc, even if it's more a little bit up and down while going up. But I think these two players, along with Tyler Smith, of course, represent hope on your offensive line. I think in particular, hope that the running game is better. You downgraded in the backfield in terms of talent. That is an objective fact. But your ground game could be better if you block better. They didn't do a great job of that last season. So can Cooper Beebe, can Tyler Guyton, with Tyler Smith in between those two guys, then Zach Martin and Terrence Steele, I think is going to be better coming off injury. Can those guys be better and lead to better results in the ground game and making sure your quarterback doesn't get killed either? I think there's hope for that. Might not be week 1, might be more at the end of the season, but you've struggled to run the ball in your losses. That's been a pretty consistent factor for this football team. When they've tried to run it, they've been dared to run it, they have been unable to do so. I'm not saying this is the next great wall of Dallas. I'm not going to put that level of expectation on. But I think you can very much drink some Kool-Aid around the Guyton-Beebe duo.